Good evening. Welcome to Reclaiming My Life podcast. My name is Claudia Massey. I am the visionary author of Amazon's #1 bestseller, Reclaiming My Life. Reclaiming My Life is about trials and trauma that we have experienced, how we overcame, and how we've reclaimed our lives. My co authors and I are on a mission to inspire, encourage, empower, and motivate you to reclaim your life. Please meet my co authors, Miss Angel Burney.
Good evening. My name is Angel Burney. I am a co-author in Reclaiming My Life. The name of my chapter is Broken Promises, where I talk about my testimony as a domestic abuse survivor. And I'm empowered to help all those that are suffering from domestic abuse and also coach them after they leave the abuse situation.
Thank you, Angel. Please meet Miss Tiffany Tyson.
Hello, good evening. I am Dr. Tiffany, and the title of my chapter in the co authored anthology is There is Hope. And I can't wait to talk to you about my chapter because hope is so important for individuals who have experienced trauma. Because when you have hope, there is a belief that the future can be better than the past.
The lovely Tabitha Chansey.
Hello, everyone. The name of my chapter is Heartless. Heartless comes from a broken heart at a young age that I carried throughout years of my life. I just want everyone to believe that anybody can change. I'm a lovely woman, beautiful woman, great woman, and it all came from being heartless.
Miss Ursula Jones.
Hello, my name is Ursula Jones, and I am an co-author of the book. And my story talks about new addictions. New addictions means that I was on drugs, cocaine, and I know someone is out there that's on drugs. I want to be able to inspire someone going through their struggling and let them know there is hope.
Joanne Bellamy.
Hello, my name is Joanne Bellamy, and I want you to come on and join me in my chapter. My chapter in the book is A Journey Home, and it talks about me being homelessness. So come on and join me and hear my story.
And the beautiful Miss Tramika Cooper.
Good evening. My name is Tramika Cooper, and my chapter in the book is titled Tragedy in Disguise, and it talks about grief and depression. We all know that grief has no expiration date. So, in the upcoming weeks, we will be discussing how you can overcome grief. Although it does not expire, but you can get through it.
Thank you so much, ladies. Our presenter for tonight is Miss Angel Burney. We will be discussing domestic violence.
The title of my chapter in the book is Broken Promises. Broken Promises is my testimony of living as a victim of domestic abuse and how I reclaimed my life to become a survivor. What is a domestic abuse survivor? Let's define that. It's a pattern of behavior in any relationship that's used to gain or maintain power and control over your intimate partner. The abuse is not just physical, but it can also be sexual, emotional, economic, psychological, or even threats or actions of influence. So, years ago, I was in an abusive relationship with someone who I truly loved. And my abuser was an alcoholic and a drug addict. Most of the abuse would happen physically when he was under the influence. But most times, after something was done or said that either crushed me emotionally or physically, he would always come back and apologize with tears. It's important to know that as a victim, when there's a repetition of abuse, there's always going to be a repetition of abuse. The more that you keep forgiving, your abuser for the behavior, the more they're going to continue to do it because there's no consequences for the action. In the beginning of the relationship, things were great. And although I look back in retrospect, I can think of different situations that took place that probably should have been warning signs for me. And things like being humiliated in front of others, being called several times a day, or being told what to wear. And I eventually became alienated from my family and friends as well. I think I came to the realization that there truly was a problem in my relationship whenever the abuse began to affect my health. The doctor's visits became normal, but there was never a definite diagnosis until one doctor just bluntly said to me that he felt like I was suffering from depression and anxiety. The shame that I felt at that time was just heartbreaking. It's important to remember that there are many facets to abuse, not just the physical. Along with the physical, you will experience emotional and psychological abuse. And both of those are a type of bondage that are really, really hard to overcome. So even after escaping the abuse, the damage mentally is something to really be reckoned with. And most times you need help with it to break those chains. Although I'm a Christian, I'm an avid and have a prayer life. I trust God, but I also believe that there's nothing wrong with seeking therapy, and that's what it's there for. My abuser attacked me one time and left me for dead. Thank God I lived to tell my story because I'm now obligated to help someone else be delivered and set free from the ties that are associated with abuse. As a survivor, I would like to be a voice for victims who just don't know what to do or where to turn. No one deserves to be abused. It's important to realize that abuse is never ever the victim's fault. At this time, I'm going to ask a few of my co authors to share their input on how domestic abuse affected their life. Miss Joanne.
Hello, everybody.
Miss Joanne, can you tell us what ways you were affected psychologically and emotionally due to your abuse and how you healed from it?
Okay. Okay. My name is Joanne, and my domestic violence situation, psychologically, it affected me because a domestic abuse is a state of your thoughts, it's your being. So, how it affected me, it changed who I was, it changed this person. It affected me in other ways. It gave me low self esteem, weight loss, anger, all types of everything. I felt threatened. I felt under pressure. I couldn't even make decisions on my own. And like Miss Angel said earlier, also there's name calling, there's embarrassment um, around other people, your family and friends. And this what domestic violence does. And that's how it affected me. It affected me so bad until I didn't want to be around anybody. It became until I didn't have any friends. I wouldn't go visit anybody. I wouldn't see anybody. And if they came to my home, I had to play a role that to just be quiet because I was afraid to say something because of the after effects when the people left. Emotionally, I was agitated. It affected me by being scared. I was crying all the time.
Mhm.
I was in denial real bad. Anxiety. I
Mhm.
was even blaming myself for what was going on. That's how it affected me. And how I recover from it. And I want to mention this too. It had me where I had to take pills. I had to take depression pills because I felt like that the depression pills would keep me at peace and keep me under control. But how I healed from this, I kept on taking the pills, but I kept praying. I gained a prayer life.
Mhm.
I started going to church, and I started to get involved with the church activities. So through that prayer life and the church activities, I slowly started to weaning myself off the medication. I would take the depression pills 3 times a week, and then 2 times a week, and then 1 time a week until I just completely got off. I took myself off. I
Mhm.
kept praying and I asked the Lord to deliver me, to help me. And as I cried out for help, He did that. He helped me because without Him, I couldn't have made it. I couldn't have done it on my own because it's really tough. And that's how I reclaimed that part of my life in that healing process of the domestic violence.
Yes.
Yes,
I think we can both agree, Miss Joanne, that you go through a plethora of emotions and
yes,
just
yes.
going through. So thank you for your input, Miss Joanne. And now we're gonna ask for Dr. Tiffany.
Hello.
Hi, Dr. Tiffany. Will you sum up for us in this discussion by telling us your recommendations from a clinical aspect for abuse survivors?
Okay, thank you. So, initially, when the abuse first happens, of course, you want that person to seek emergency treatment. And you want to do that in case they've had some type of physical trauma. For instance, there may be broken limbs, so you want to have x-ray. If the person has been sexually assaulted, they may need to have a rape kit done in the emergency room. Also, during this time, while they're there in the emergency room, someone from the domestic violence shelter may come in and speak with that individual one on one and talk to them about a safety plan. They may offer their shelter for protection, especially they may have a child with them. So the shelter could be also for that female or male and the child that may have also escaped that issue or that incident. And at that time, it's important to know for that individual to know what their rights are. Know they have a right to file a report. They have a right for that individual to be arrested, but not to judge that person because they may not want to file a report. And so it's important for the clinician at that time not to judge that person if they decide to stay with the abuser or if they decide they don't want to press charges. And then the second half of this stage is getting this person into a form of treatment, but also knowing that they need to be ready. They need to be ready for therapy because therapy is, like Ms. Joanne said, it's a journey. And so, within the therapy aspects, a good assessment is done by either a psychologist or a licensed clinical social worker. And at this time, a diagnosis is determined because, based on the diagnosis, it's important to identify because that's going to be their different type of therapy that they may receive because there's different types of therapy. There's therapy for PTSD, there's therapy for anxiety, depression. And so you want to make sure that that person is appropriately diagnosed. And then, as Ms. Joanne mentioned, there can also be medication treatment as well, again, for different symptoms that the person is experiencing, whether it's depression, anxiety, PTSD, or even I think she mentioned she had problems sleeping. What's important that she also said is she looked at other resources, other outlets. It's important for the woman to get back to some sense of normalcy. And other things could be your faith, prayer, a support circle where you have a group of women. And sometimes that can be in the church, that can also be within a group therapy because there are other women there as well. And what's significant about the therapy piece, this allows the woman to gain their control back, for them to become empowered. It also helps them boost their self-esteem and their confidence and helps them have a voice. And it's important to know that there are different forms of treatment. There's exercise, there's making sure that you get enough sleep at night, and there's also identifying also what not only types of exercise or practicing good hygiene, but also letting the other person know that there is hope for recovery, because you want that person to have a sense of hope to get back to some sense of normalcy. And when they're trying to get back to normalcy, helping them identify if they want to choose to date again or be in a relationship again, what are those things, those characteristics of an abuser? So it's important for them to also be able to identify those, which could be aggressive behavior, controlling, jealousy, or manipulative. And so treatment is a cycle. It's eating healthy, it's exercise, it's prayer, it's faith. It could be therapy, it could be medication. And I like what she said. She tapered herself off the medicine because that's very important. You shouldn't quit just the medicine abruptly, because it can cause withdrawal symptoms.
Awesome. And I thank you, Dr. Tiffany, for expounding on the fact that the abuser as well will need treatment for, whatever issues they may be having to, make them act out the way they do. So it's not only about the abuse, but it's also about the abuser getting help. And I thank you for bringing out that point.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tiffany. Well, right now we're going to turn things back over to Miss Claudia Massey.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Domestic violence, to talk about domestic violence is never an easy topic. But thank God, Angel and Miss Joanne, you have reclaimed your life, and here you are now, providing therapy to others. There are so many people, I'm sure, unfortunately, can relate to everything that has been said tonight. And again, our hope is to encourage, inspire, and motivate whoever is going through it, to be able to share your story one day and to help others. But I want to ask, we have some other co authors that didn't actually write about domestic violence, but may have experienced or been with someone or seen a family member that may have experienced domestic violence. And if I could just ask you, Ursula, I know you mentioned even in your chapter that you were dating someone at a point that was abusive. And I'm not sure if he was abusive to you or you just knew that he had been abusive in the past. Could you elaborate on that for us? I think your mic is off, Ursula.
Sorry about that. Yes, he was abusive. But like they said, I was in love with him, so it was hidden. I didn't talk about it. I didn't say anything about it. And yes, he was abusive. I just loved him. And sometimes when we love someone, it be like a hidden, it'd be hidden. So I didn't say anything about it, but it wasn't good at all.
Mm-hmm. You know,
Yes,
and the reason why I called on you, because again, that wasn't your topic, but
yes,
so many people, you think about if you line 10 people up, and you just look at those 10 people, you never know what people are going through,
you don't.
you know. So I definitely want to ask Tramika, you as well. I know you don't discuss domestic violence, but have you ever experienced it or had a family member or a friend that you've seen experienced being abused?
I have experienced it before in my first marriage. Um, and I always say, we were young in the beginning. I didn't blame him. I didn't blame myself. But then at that age, you don't know. You just feel like, oh, it's normal. He didn't mean it. When he meant it. It's
Right,
abuse. It's
right.
not love. That's not love. That's not how you show a person that you love them. It's control.
That's
you
right.
know it's control. So yes, I've dealt with it before, and it's not a good feeling. It's an emotional roller coaster.
It is,
Mhm.
because I discussed in my chapter as well that I experienced domestic violence as well in
Mhm.
a past marriage. So,
Mhm.
Ted,
Mhm.
let me ask you, have you ever experienced domestic violence or know a family or a friend, family
Mm,
member or friend?
Um, family member. Um,
Mhm.
and her answer was always, "I stay because of the children." Not, I mean, to me, it was damaging the children. I guess, as people say, when you're in love, you don't notice that. Um, it's nothing that I could ever picture, witness, and just be okay with it. It's to me, I mean, it's just a bad thing. Yeah, I wouldn't wish it for nobody. But I'm so glad all these ladies overcame everything that they went through with domestic violence. I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much for that, Tat. And I'm so glad as well that we all have overcome. We have reclaimed our lives. And our prayer and our hope is that whoever is listening to this, if you are in a domestic violent relationship, we pray that you too can reclaim your life. Again, we also like to announce that we are touring. We're on our book tour and we may be coming to a city near you. So please check out our website, which is reclaimingmylifetour.com. And if you would like to book us for a special event that you or your church or just a group is having, please don't hesitate to book us through that website. If you would like to purchase our book, you can reach out to any of us on here to purchase the book. We appreciate you all for tuning in tonight. We hope and pray that you reclaim your life, because any day that you wake up, every day that you wake up, if you're going through something, if you're suffering in silence, just know there is hope for healing, and you can, just as we did, reclaim your life.